Greetings, friends, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Why I Love Disney podcast. Hello, David and Easton. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I hear that it is the birthday of one said David. How you feeling today? You feeling older?
Oh, well, you know what? I'm feeling blessed. I'm feeling blessed and glad to be here. And we'll leave it at that.
Well, how about a 100th episode and a birthday episode back to back?
That's pretty good. What more? Anna just got back from a trip to Disney World. So
life just doesn't get a whole lot better.
I just didn't get any better. I have time with my family today, and that's going to be great. So that's it couldn't get any better.
That's awesome. Well, happy birthday to you, David. We appreciate you, and I can't wait to jump into this episode. Lots of Disney news. I say lots of little Disney news. There's no big things happening around the holidays like this. But I just wanted to start with this. We talked about Moana 2 a lot. It maintained its first place at the box office. Did you see that? It held off Wicked, and now it is, strangely enough, I don't know if strangely or not, I don't know if this surprises you or not. That's kind of my question to you. It is now worldwide the number 4 grossing movie of 2024.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. I don't know. I see a lot of different comments online, so it's really hard to follow what's going on. Like I've heard that Wicked's still going to outpace it overall, and that the reviews aren't great, and that I thought people weren't going to see it. I thought it had a big drop off. So that's really interesting news because you hear a lot of different things reported. It's hard to know sometimes what is the most accurate. I've heard kind of the opposite, so that's interesting.
$717 million worldwide. Now, here's what's interesting, David, is domestically, Wicked is outpacing it by a few million, right?
Oh, okay.
But worldwide, it's a $200 million, $160 million difference between the two. That Moana is number 4 for this year. It's really interesting, and I think that might have something to do with. I think there's 2 issues that maybe at play. One is on the worldwide thing. I don't know if Wicked and the Wizard of Oz story is as big internationally or translates as well as it does in the United States. What do you think about that?
I think it probably does because it is still an older property that's been around a long time. I don't know. I mean, those are some big songs. Somewhere Over the Rainbow, one of the biggest recorded songs of all time. People have to wonder where it came from. As far as old movie musicals, I would think it would have to still be in the top 3 that gets viewed. I know that I was shocked at how many times I've seen videos, Instagram and TikTok especially lately, because of all the Wicked. There's just so much. I'm getting a little tired of people singing Wicked songs in my feed. I'm like, okay, I've heard, yeah, I've seen that, yeah. But now it's things you didn't know about the original Wizard of Oz, and it's all stuff that people have just lifted off of the bonus features of old DVDs and Blu-rays and posted it look at this great news that I've found. And these things have 1 million views. I mean, staggering. So people are going back and watching this, and I think that's probably making people go back because there's a lot of spoofing about what Glinda knew. That she always had the power to send Dorothy back home, but she didn't, and how these two connect, and of course, a lot of people, if you haven't seen the Broadway show, you don't even know where this story's going yet. The whole second half is what really starts mingling with the original, where Dorothy and the other characters come into the story. So that hasn't even happened in the Wicked version yet. So
that's a good point. You got 2 out of this.
If people aren't watching it, they are going to watch it when the next one happens because people are going to be going, "Oh, is that where this comes from?" And
while you're saying that, when I say it doesn't translate, I mean it's made $500 million worldwide. I mean it is got made the 70% of its gross has been domestic, which is interesting, but still it's no slouch. That's a lot of money too.
Well, the crazy thing too is that everybody sees these things differently, you'll see that sometimes when a movie comes out that you'll go, "It did great everywhere but China," or "It did really good all over the world but the U.S." And so sometimes things just hit a certain culture in a certain way, and hey, but Moana is we heard for the past 3 years that it's such a huge streamed movie. So if this movie doesn't make $1 billion, it's like no matter how much it makes, then you're kind of going, well, this is their biggest property right now. It should, even if it does get a 62 on Rotten Tomatoes, it ought to be a huge seller because it's the most popular streamed movie. And same way with Mufasa coming up. It's one of their biggest franchises. So if it doesn't do well, and hey, Snow White, the one that started it all, they've got a live action movie coming out in spring of 2025. If they don't do well, it's really a shame because these are huge properties in their catalog that ought to be bringing in the cash. So if they're not, there's something really wrong. I think that Moana is, I think the word probably has gotten out that it's not like, hey, you gotta go right now. So I think there will be some people that will wait, and I think that Inside Out 2, it got great reviews right up front. People were really relieved that it was like for the whole family, and this is a win. And I think people were wanting to go so bad they took off and took their kids, and there's some. I've heard this through the years. I don't know if it's true, but you've got 4 boys. Do you go see princess movies? Would you, if you said Inside Out 2 or Moana 2, what would your boys want to see?
That's true. Inside Out 2.
Yeah, there's just something about that when you're, but they were kind of expecting Moana 2 to at least be the kind of movie that moms would take their daughters to, like Barbie, and that was a big thing. It's like Frozen. Those are kind of like, certain little cultural things that happen where, hey, you take your kid to see. We went and saw the first one. Now we're going to go see the second one. So
Well, that seems to be happening. I mean, $717 million for a sequel that, reviews are mixed on. That's pretty impressive. And I think part of that happened. I was just thinking my second part to that is there's not a lot of, I guess, general audience G-rated cartoon family movies out right now. I mean, really, I'm looking. I mean, it's Wicked and Moana 2. And that's it, really. Am I missing something that's out right now?
I think that's usually about what it is. There's not like a huge amount a lot of times.
I mentioned the best Christmas pageant ever, but it's more cultural, and a little more religious leaning. Maybe that one. Outside of that, you got, Gladiator 2. You're not taking your 5-year-old to see that. Unless you're my 5-year-old, we would think
we'll
about
see.
it.
We also have the Sonic 3 coming out. That's going to go up against Mufasa, so that's going to be an interesting thing to watch and see what people go see if they choose one or the other. I do think that all these movies benefit a little bit if you have a family tradition like we do. That since we were away from our families. For a lot of Thanksgivings, that became like a thing. After we would have our Thanksgiving, we'd all go to the movies on Thursday evening or sometimes the night before. But it was kind of a family tradition. We'd go see whatever Disney had out for Thanksgiving weekend. So, there's a lot of people that's just kind of built in to a tradition. You're going to go see what's out unless you've heard don't go. It's not worth it. Wait for Disney Plus or something like that. So they should do well. These all should be doing great. Although I would be a little bit more excited myself for something new. Most people are like, oh, Moana 2. They like Moana. This will be fun. Let's just go. It'll be worth it. We'll have a great time, and so they ought to be doing great.
We haven't mentioned it, but there is another Marvel movie out this weekend. Sony, Kraven the Hunter, came out. Were you able to see it, Easton?
I've not seen it.
I have not either. I haven't even seen reviews on it. I do want to see it. It looks really interesting to me. We'll see what happens.
Then I won't talk about what I've seen online.
Does it say it's bad?
I think it's like they said the end of the Spider-Man movies. I think it's done so poorly. But again, I haven't. That's just the stuff I've seen online and reviews.
Well, it didn't make a lot of money for its opening. So it actually did way better worldwide than it did domestically. So that's interesting. But it's going to work in 3 days, 1 weekend. So,
well, again, and so much that you see come out, you don't know if it's clickbait and people just trying to say extravagant things to get people to read what they've said or listen to what they've said. So it takes some time.
Well, what other news have you seen over the past week since we recorded last?
Have you guys heard of Tally the Elf? I'll tell you about him if you haven't.
No.
So Tally the Elf. This is
interesting.
It is. It's really interesting. Tally the Elf is a cast member at Disney World who plays this character, this elf named Tally, for the Christmas parade during Mickey's Christmas party. What has happened? He's gone viral, like on TikTok and stuff, because he walks up and he'll ask people what their name is. He's carrying around Santa's list and he tells them whether they're naughty or nice. And it's a fun little bit that he does. Now, what's happened is people have gone and figured out what his real name is and started yelling it at him at the parades. His actual name.
Is that a dangerous thing?
It can be. I think it breaks. They have some kind of like cast thing where if you start yelling out someone's real name instead of their character name, it kind of breaks the magic, the continuity of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then it came out that there's 3 or 4 people that actually play that character on a regular basis, but he's been the one that's kind of blown up the most. And it had come out that he was not there. Like, people started thinking that Disney had replaced him in the parade because of this big thing. Now, it ended up coming out that he just there was a scheduling, like Disney has said, there was just a scheduling conflict. He's coming back. Everything's fine. So it seems like everything's okay right now. But what do you guys think about people finding someone at Disney as a cast member and kind of doing extra work to just figure out what this person's real name is and shouting it at them?
Well, these days, it's really interesting. People can find out who you are and all about you in a few seconds. I have a friend who prides himself on, if he meets someone, if he gets their first name, sometimes if he doesn't have their first name, he can tell me who they are, like within 5 minutes. I don't know how. I don't know. He just stalks them on the internet really quick, and there are people that are great at that.
He couldn't find my dad.
You'd think.
He doesn't even have a cell phone.
That's true. Assuming there is some sort of digital footprint.
My mom still has a flip phone, so...
Yeah. And this guy I'm talking about is not like in the CIA or something. He's a guitar player. He's just really good at tracking people down.
That's pretty scary, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's. I think it's an overstep. Again, you don't know. You don't know the person. You
Leave
don't
the poor
know
kid alone. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't know. Like he really might have. It's that thing when you're listening and you're hearing all this, and I saw all these stories, and it's like, well, did he want that? And like he's really trying to build up his own personal Instagram,
which could be an issue, right?
He's pushing people there. So Disney would be like, well, hey, dude, we don't want you. This isn't about you.
Right.
This is about this. Or it could be, again, that it was just that he happened to have his own thing. People figured out, hey, that guy right there is also this guy. And so they're calling him out. And then they're getting him in trouble. So you don't really know. And it's hard to tell in those things. When corporations telling you what they want and what there's just no way to know. But I don't think it's a good idea to be doing that. I mean, to be stalking people if that's what people are doing. Of course, it's just hard to know. It's hard to know. Did he do it or did someone else do it? That's what I wondered when I heard this. I imagine is probably just people figured it out and that was funny, and they started doing it. But can't lose somebody their job.
You could also think that exactly like you make a big mess and a big show and a spectacle, and then Disney gets in a situation where, I don't know, it could cost this guy's job, or maybe, I don't know, like Yeah,
Interesting to
knows?
think about. I mean, that's something that would have never happened before. I mean, it would have never happened before iPhones. You
Yeah.
know, the past 10 years,
Yeah.
and really wouldn't happen until, probably even with just Facebook. This is something that's really going, probably TikTok, Instagram. I mean, it's like a whole new thing that every time social media has a change, it brings in new issues that you didn't have just a few years ago that you got to figure out.
Yep. Well, that's
So-
fascinating. That's an interesting dilemma the guy is in. Maybe he can leverage it for fame and fortune.
Because I've heard of many cast members before, like if you were a cast member that portrayed one of the princesses, or you might have been Mickey Mouse, they won't even say I used to be Ariel at the park. They'll say I was friends with. That's what you're taught to say, was I was friends with Mickey Mouse, and that means that was your job. They have little protocols that because that's part of you're not supposed to say I used to be Belle,
Yeah.
because that breaks the story. So
Well, my question is, did you guys meet this elf while you were at the Magic Kingdom?
we did not go to the Mickey's Christmas party because it was already sold out. And which are, that's one of the tough things when you go on a trip and you got 2 days, and this is when I can go. I can go these 2 days. And then you just get, okay, well, all right, because originally I thought we're really just going to go to the Magic Kingdom. We're going to really hit the Magic Kingdom hard and do all the things East has never done before they're gone away. And then the second day we were going to be there, Magic Kingdom was only open till 6 o'clock because it had that parade, and the parade's already sold out because it's early in the season. And those are big social media nights. I mean, everybody that has a vlog they're all in there eating all the desserts and reporting on it, and they just all sell out typically. Anyway, I think middle of the month you probably have a better bet than getting into the parties the first of the month or the end of the month when it's about to go away and the Christmas holiday. But it was sold out, so we didn't have any choice. But it's like, well, okay, we can go to Magic Kingdom for a second day, or we can go somewhere else that's open, till 9 o'clock at night. So that's what we did. But so we didn't do that. We really didn't even do Happily Ever After was playing the day we were in Magic Kingdom, and I heard it, but we were so attraction focused that day, like we typically usually are. We didn't go back and watch it. Plus, when Easton and I are there, it's just a different mission than if we're there with the whole family and the girls, and we're way more likely if the girls are there to go watch a parade and I like the parades, but we just didn't do it this time. We were kind of on a different mission.
Yeah, we were on a mission that got rearranged multiple times.
Yeah, that's what we said we were going to talk about today, was the crowds and the unexpected delays that we had throughout the day with, because we were there this historic day where it made AP news that Disney Frontierland had been shut down because sewage backed up into the streets. Yikes. And so, we need to talk a little bit about. We didn't tell you this story, I don't think, completely yet, but we were our goal for this trip. One of the two things we really wanted to do was Tom Sawyer's Island and the riverboat, which I had heard the attendance in both of these has gone up since they announced it's going away, and it's going to be converted into the Cars attraction. So we said, so we plan our whole morning that because those things don't open right up when the park opens. They're a little delayed. So we said, well, we'll go do the Fantasyland and Tomorrowland are going to be opened only at 30 minutes before park opens for people who have the extra magic hour that are staying at a resort. So we're not going to go to Fantasyland, and we're not going to go to Tomorrowland first thing, because Space Mountain, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and Peter Pan are going to have long lines immediately. So your next bet, you go, okay, do we go to Thunder Mountain? Do we go to Haunted Mansion? Do we go to Tiana's? You can't stand in line yet. Pirates, Jungle Cruise. You've got those options if you're a regular guest. So we decided we'd go ahead and do Thunder Mountain, and which was good because when we got in line, we got into the park at 8:15. They let us in early, and then park doesn't open until 9. So we were in line basically right up at New Orleans Square at the rope. We're right first at the rope, and they announced that immediately that Space Mountain's already gone down, and Haunted Mansion's down. And Haunted Mansion won't be up, so we can't go to Haunted Mansion. So we stuck with our Big Thunder Mountain. So when the rope drops at 9 o'clock, we went straight to Big Thunder Mountain, got right on. There was no line. We were like one of the first 50 people in line. And then when we got off at like 9:05, it's only got a 10-minute wait, so we got right back on. And we did that. So we got two passes of Thunder Mountain in kind of two different parts of the train. And then I think we went, and Easton might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we went on and did Pirates because it had a low wait. Because right when 10, 15 minutes after the park is open now, Peter Pan, Space Mountain, and Seven Dwarfs already have an hour-long wait. Boom. They're already there. So we go ahead and we do Pirates, and we do a few other things, and we did a few other things that morning, and then we get to about into the 11 o'clock hour, and so the riverboat and all these things are opening up, and so we said, well, let's go ahead and eat.
Yep.
So we decided to go to Pecos Bill because we're always hearing that's going to get reimagined to something else, and so we went there, walked around, there's a lot of pictures there's a big picture of Pecos Bill if you know that character from the old Melody Time movie from the 40s. There's a big picture of Pecos Bill over the mantle. There's a lot of little Western theme memorabilia around the walls that most people don't even see. We looked at some of that, and we ate, and it was interesting because the lines we see are really long, but the restaurant was kind of empty, and this was like 11:30 noon.
Lunchtime.
And like every other table is kind of empty. So we're like, this is not a big crowd. We've been in here where you get your food and you're standing and you're going outside and you're just looking for a place to stand because there's nowhere to go. So of course, it's not hot, so that helps because everybody's not inside trying to cool off. But there was a lot of room. We ate. So then we were like, okay, let's go on. After we ate there, which was a whole new menu. That was new for us because Pecos Bill has been the same thing for quite a few years, and a whole new menu there. We go down, we get out of there, and we decide we'll go ahead and do the riverboat. So we get up to the riverboat, they pull the rope, and we're like, oh man, and we can see it's kind of full. It's not crammed packed, but it's pretty full. But they've already got it set. They're not going to let anybody else on. So we go, all right, we missed that one. We'll go ahead. So we'd go and do the Hall of Presidents because it's right there. We said as soon as this comes out, we'll come out and get back on the riverboat. So we come out, go get in line, and they've got the rope up again. And so there's a cast member there, and we said, what's happened? And they said, oh, we're down. And I said, oh, like for the day? Or she said, well, I don't know. They have to clean something. And I was like, clean something? So we're thinking, maybe someone got sick on the riverboat and, or somebody had an accident on the riverboat. And so we're like, okay, so we can't do the riverboat. We'll go, maybe we can go on. We'll just go on to Tom Sawyer's Island. We'll do this. So then we turn and we're starting to walk towards Frontierland. And there's a big line of cast members blocking Frontierland saying, sorry, folks, this part of the park is closed, like Wally World. And we were like, what? And so then I was like, well, man, what could have happened on the riverboat that would close all of Frontierland? Did somebody fall off the boat? Is somebody dead? What's happened? And I could see people in Frontierland. Like I could see people at that point on the sidewalks, like they were waiting for the parade, which was about to happen. a parade was coming soon. You know, people line up early even for that, and so we were like, I see people down there on the sidewalks, and so, but pretty quickly they had pulled everybody out of Frontierland, and so. We were trying to get information from some cast members, and you know, I got some tidbits here and there, but we finally heard that, you know, that it was a sewage backup, and it had it shut everything down. And so one of the cast members told us that this is a pretty big mess up. Like, this is going to take hours to clean up. And so basically the whole roadway area out in Frontierland had a sewage backup, and you could see it. Like, people took pictures, and I was told that they actually were asking people not to take pictures of this river that was ironically flowing where that, you know, they say that sewage, you know, there's a strip through Liberty Square that's supposed to be to remind you that they used to throw sewage in the streets, and so it was really happening. And we were also
we're going for the pure realism.
We were
go,
also
Disney.
told that it was the saddest part. First, it was really inconvenient. But you go, man, the sewage back up. Wonder what happened. But then a cast member told us that, like, yeah, this is like the 5th or 6th time this has happened. So then you're like, what? 5th or 6th time? This is
wow. And
if you, I don't think I've ever been to the parks when a whole land closed down. I'm sure it's happened to other people, but when they just roped a whole land off, and so for a minute it shuts down Tom Sawyer's Riverboat, Country Bears, Tiana's, Big Thunder Mountain, the stores and the restaurants, and just the pathway. And so when that happens, it was like crazy. And then when they finally do isolate the issue, which is in Frontierland, little Main Street there, so they, you know, Tiana's is back open, Thunder Mountain's open, Tom Sawyer's finally opens, Riverboat's still closed, but Riverboat to Country Bears are still closed. Well, I mean, all those people they go another direction, so you could not. It was as crowded in Adventureland suddenly as if it were New Year's Eve and they were showing fireworks. It was crazy, shoulder to shoulder. I even grabbed hold. I had a hold of Easton's backpack, like, not to lose Easton, like in the flood of people. Wow. As we're walking through there, it was crowded. Gracious. They had cast members trying to come down the middle of the streets to, like, get people to stay to the right, because people forget, you know, there's some protocols every now and then, and they're just looking for the fastest path, and they're crisscrossing. So they were trying to get people to, but it was crazy for a while, and it shut down Frontierland all afternoon. The riverboat finally opens up at dark. I mean, it's almost dark, and that's usually when it closes, around dark. So they finally open it up. They did get Tom Sawyer's Island open, and Tiana's and those things open, but Country Bears, the restaurants, all that area, it was down for many hours, and the crazy part was that we were going, we are here. Our main purpose was to come, like Disney said, like, hey, we're getting ready to convert all these rides. You got your last chance to come enjoy the river. And so we come all the way down here, and the whole land shuts down because of a sewage problem that really sounds like it should have been fixed or worked on before now. And it's like, oh, thanks a lot. This was our one shot here, thing. And we just about missed the epic part of coming to this park this time when we came. Because the pipes backed up, and they said people were having to step over. It wasn't just water; they said it was really, really gross. And so,
solid waste in the streets. Real Frontierland, it's legit. It's like
a real
authentic.
taste of the a real
was historically
sense of the-
accurate.
Some Pecos Bill. There's some Pecos Bill ingredient. People had everybody.
I'm
had too
sure
much Pecos
Pecos
Bill. I
Bill
guess.
took a lot of blame, and I've heard I've heard somebody has said that bathroom had backed up, but I got the impression based on what we witnessed later in the day was that it was more. It had to that it. I think it had to have happened. I could be wrong. This is my guess as a spectator, was that it must have happened in those bathrooms in the tunnel that connects you from Frontierland to Adventureland in that area, near where the shooting gallery used to be, and some of the shops. That it was more in that area, Country Bears, because that's where we saw the pictures. And when we came through later, when we finally got through on our way to the riverboat later. The ground's all been cleaned and it's been pressure washed and scrubbed, and there's a strong smell of bleach in the air.
Very strong.
Better bleach than something else.
Always.
Well, my thing is, I think we would all agree, Disney, like before you spend another $1 on a new attraction, let's just go ahead and get that problem fixed.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do that. I think that's a priority. Let's bump that up the list there. Let's put Villains Land on hold and cars on hold until we don't have sewage in the streets.
I agree.
Yeah, and I watch a lot of Disney content, and I've not heard of this before. So to be told 5 or 6 times, I've heard people complain about smells. I hear a lot of people complain about the smells over in Epcot, over in where Tiana's Moana's new attraction is, that there's a bad smell, and I've not experienced that. I've heard people talk about how you can see that they're not keeping up the parks, and I really didn't see trash on the ground. Like I hear a lot of people complaining. People complain that you even see a different culture of people just dropping their trash on the ground, and that's something that people haven't typically done there through the years. I mean, people spill things. You accidentally drop popcorn.
You think that's real?
Well, probably based on things that we've all seen in culture and society over the past few years. I do think there's probably a little bit less worry that if I throw my trash on the ground that I'm going to have any repercussions, as opposed to what people would have done years ago. I mean, you would have felt embarrassed to throw your trash down years ago. If somebody had said, "Hey, pick your trash up," but now I think there's just a different attitude. So yeah, I think probably. I bet it's a whole lot cleaning up the park now than it was 20 years ago. I would think, based on what we see with social media and stuff like that. But I did not notice. Easton, did you see a lot of trash? Did you see a lot of dirt? Were you ever going, "Oh man, this place is filthy"? No, I didn't.
No, not. I mean, the only thing same as you. The only thing I really saw was an occasional, like maybe a kid dropped their entire popcorn, or people going to grab a handful and drop a couple pieces. But that was kind of it. But I also saw a lot of cast members walking around cleaning that stuff up as it was happening too. So maybe it does happen, and they're just really good about getting it up quickly.
Yeah, and again, we were moving a lot of. We did not have as many long lines as you sometimes can in the summer, so I did not have time to go, "Oh man, that looks really worn down. That needs to be repainted." I just didn't have time. It's a shorter trip. We're moving a lot faster. Again, people that go to the parks every day and aren't really in as a hurry as we were probably see a lot of things we don't see. But I did notice when they shut Frontierland down. You couldn't miss that. It impacted the whole day. And this was of all the things of the good things and the bad things we experienced, probably the biggest downfall of the 2 days there was how much time we had to maneuver around broken down attractions. And it was all day. It felt like all day. One or two things. Well, no, it wasn't one. It was always more than one thing was broken down that day. And that really affects your whole day and what you can do and what you can't do. And then when a whole land goes down, it's whole new challenge because you can't even walk where you normally would walk. So it was very interesting. We definitely got a unique experience. I think it was one that if we'd had the whole family, I would have had people saying, "Hey, I'm going back to the hotel. I think I'm going to take a break for a little bit." That would have happened right there in the middle of the day when it got so crowded, and all of a sudden lines are hitting an hour and a half because people just like, you hit that point where you go, well, I guess we're just going to have to get in line because that's down. And I would have lost a lot of the family. They would have been like, we're going to go do something else. So Easton, we stuck it out and we used it. I mean, again, if you know the parks well, you can use those strategies to go, okay, what we need to do is this, because this is going to open back. All that to say is we finally got to do the riverboat around dusk, and we finally got on there, but we almost did not make the challenge that we had set before us. And we did get to go to Tom Sawyer's Island, and not only did Easton get to do Tom Sawyer's Island, I think I spent more time on Tom Sawyer's Island than I ever had. It's sad. It's like I felt like I was going to see a senior adult friend and thinking, well, maybe the last time I get to visit with you, old friend.
Well, I'm glad y'all got to do that. What was that the highlight? What would, again, that's Tom Sawyer's Island. What about the riverboat? Like,
it was
tell
good.
me about that.
It's good. I mean, I think it's really crazy. I don't know why they want to do it. I think that the riverboat should stay. I'm going to still argue that. I'm going to say a land is not the same as an attraction. That these 4 lands are integral to the parks. And that Frontierland is supposed to be about going into the past. It's not supposed to be going into the wild frontier. It's about the past. And Paris has it. Disneyland has it. I mean, I haven't been to Tokyo and Shanghai and Hong Kong, so I don't.
How's the riverboat?
I don't know, but they all have these lands that kind of evoke the past, and so I want them to keep that, and I think the riverboat could have been a great vehicle to keep a little bit of the past, and they could have put Villain's Land. Can you imagine getting on the riverboat and you go around, and it could have docked in Villain's Land, and like the lighting could have changed the whole boat from a Mark Twain riverboat to now it's all in blue, purple and green light, and it looks like a haunted thing. And it could have come back by the Haunted Mansion, and it could have been like the haunted riverboat for the second leg of the tour till you get back past the Haunted Mansion. There's just so many things they could have done to keep that an integral part of the park. They could have had Tiana on the first leg and Villains and Haunted Mansion on the back half. They still could have kept the feel of going back in time and riding an old riverboat and made it effective for today's crowd without it being about Mark Twain. And that's what I mean. Basically, when you're on the ride, you hear the voiceover is talking about. They're talking about what it's like to ride on a riverboat, and most people aren't even listening to it, And then it's about Mark Twain, it's not Mark. They call him Sam Clemens, and then that's who ends up becoming Mark Twain. And he talks about he tells you a story of life on the river, and you see the Native American villages, and you see wildlife, and you just see some scenery is basically what it is. But it's like it's meant to be like a moment where you just breathe for a second. You've got a busy park day. You're running to all these attractions that are like adrenaline. And this was designed to be like, man, times have been simpler. Times were harder. But simpler. And, you kind of get a little glimpse into the past of what would it have been like to live at a different time. And then, anyway, I still think they could have rethemed it. I think it's a nice, the water feature and a river flowing through there and a boat is just a great filler if you've got something that makes people want to get on the boat.
Yeah.
and see something or experience something, and they just haven't provided a good experience. That I like the old experience back in its day, but it needs updating. It just like everything does.
Well, it's getting updated.
Yeah, it's getting updated filled with cement.
with Lightning McQueen.
Yeah. Which again, you go, what? Why? I mean, why they'll go back and they'll pull an old IP. Like, well, how about this? It's like you just wonder what goes on in their thinking, because you go, okay, what have we got? What have we got? We got Woody, we got Cars. We got Woody, we got Cars.
What's funny is you take Cars out of Tomorrowland where they don't belong, and you put them in Frontierland now where they do belong, because Cars are a vision to the past now, especially those kind of cars, like gasoline automobiles.
That's it.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, maybe that's
You're moving.
Maybe if they had been like old jalopies, that would be a.
Well, I mean, the cars, though, Radiator Springs, it's old classic cars. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Lamborghinis and things like that. It's Mater. And,
you're getting older if cars are seen as a thing of the past. So, it's your birthday. It's your birthday when Cars is, a night. What is Cars? 19. When did Cars come out? 2005. 2006.
Oh, I thought you meant the Model T. Like, you remember that one, right?
The movie's 20.
How old you are?
The movie's 20 years old, and Cars are 100 years old. So they're a thing of the frontier. Wow.
I need Easton to rate Tom Sawyer's Island first.
Okay.
And I'll remind you, Christmas is in a couple of days. No, I'm kidding.
So what do you think of Tom Sawyer's Island, Easton?
It's tough. I didn't dislike it. I thought it was good. I thought it was
dislike it.
I thought it was good. The hard part is
up in that fort like he was 10 years old, going, look at me, I'm shooting wild game. I'm chasing away the enemies.
No, I actually did love it. I'm just messing around. I actually did love it a lot. The whole idea of going somewhere and you get to walk through the little caves and you get to see all of the stuff, and you're in it. We were fortunate enough that a lot of the stuff we did, there may have been like a couple of other people around us, but we were for the most part by ourselves there. So there wasn't really a whole lot except for the fort. There was a lot of people at the fort, but other than that, we were kind of like dropped into this setting, and it was us, and it was like you were really there. There wasn't a lot of outside forces that kind of broke the wall of this reality that you're in.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
No, I did notice that there were a few things. That was the one place I did see a little bit of trash. And I do think some water features and things weren't working, but it had been a while since I had done it, so I was like, I think there's supposed to be some water flowing in these areas that were not. But no, it was crowded, but at the same time, I've been in the tunnels when you had people right behind you, and you kind of, and your eyes are trying to adjust to the darkness, and somebody's right behind you, and you really need especially when you have eyes like mine, you need a minute to get your bearing, and there's nothing like a kid going between your legs to go past you. So
what's really cool about that area is if I lived in Florida and lived there and was nearby, had the season pass, could just go at any time, that would be my pick of somewhere to go to just sit down and get out my computer and just get a bunch of work done. We actually saw a guy sitting at one of the picnic tables, and he had his computer out and was just working away. That'd be a really nice spot to just do that.
It would. Go in, get your Starbucks or your Joffrey's and get a cup of coffee. Go get on the raft, go over there, sit at the table, and get some work done.
Yeah.
That's what it's for. That's what I used to do. The only reason I'd ever been to Tom Sawyer, I had a season pass, and I would go hang out because I could just go hang out without having to ride anything. It was awesome. I agree. It was great for that. It's a cool little park. My kids my kids also. Well, Wyatt. I took him, and he had a great time on the Tom Sawyer's Island too. It's a pretty cool place to explore because it's exploring. It's like your backyard. It's like going out in the woods.
It's the kind of thing that a lot of theme parks could replicate that. It's not that hard of a thing. It's a little park-like environment. Now, would anybody do that now? No. Would you ever find those tunnels built anymore? Probably not, just because of codes and all the things that would be involved in making something like that. It's not accessible for a lot of people, and that there's things you might could do, but there's a lot that you would be very limited to there if you were in a wheelchair, or you were on crutches or anything like that. It's not a great place, but there's a lot of great things about it. It's sad to see it go. I'm not as sad about seeing the retheme. Although I'm more disappointed that we can't figure out how to take things like that and update them. And there's somebody comes along and says, "This can't be updated. This is too something. Therefore, it has to go completely." And it's like, this story has been around for over 100 years. There surely is something that can be done with it. But no, it's a season, and I'm actually just more concerned that this is one. You can say we're taking out Country Bears, or we're taking out Carousel of Progress and putting in another attraction in, but you take that out, you can't ever go back. You can't say we're going to bring the Country Bears back. You can't say we're going to bring this back. It'll be gone, and it's that's why I think it should be rethemed. I'll hold to that. I think it's going to be another. We'll go through a cultural shift at some point that they come back, and this will be one of those things that they go, that was one of the worst decisions they ever made.
You think you're gonna? That's where you're. All right.
Well, I do. I think
write that
I'm
down.
talking about as a park thing. I'm like 20 to 30 years. Somebody's going to say, "Why did they take that out?" Okay, because they're gonna be confused. Why would you take out something that was like a park area to put in an attraction that's going to lose its effectiveness? It's going to break down, and it's going to have to go. This is not something that has, it just needs repurposing. It's not broken. It just needs a theme.
I think it also depends on how great the thing that's replacing it is.
Yeah,
too.
Again, I don't think people ever go back and go, that ride went away, that was the worst decision. But we've never had them retheme a whole land. And that's what this, to me, is going to... that's what it feels like is coming. Of course, we've talked about this a little bit. I really think a lot of things, just like the Country Bears getting rethemed, to me, that was really more about getting they want to get the songs, the Disney songs in there, so they don't have to pay royalties for those country songs that were in the old thing. I think we're seeing a lot of retheming going on because they don't. But Tom Sawyer, they're not paying anything. They're not paying any royalties. This isn't that. So it's a little bit different. It's more of a cultural. We don't know what to do with the past. We don't know how to make a property based. The only thing we've got that's in the past that we're willing to put any investment in is Tiana. She's like the 1930s, and David, we can do that.
I kind of agree with you, but there's a part of me that's like, it could just be these two things do not draw people to the park.
Right.
They don't sell tickets.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it could just be that simple.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that's like an easy one. Like,
yes.
If you're going to tell me of all the things in the Magic Kingdom that don't make money and don't make people buy a ticket, it might make people buy a season pass.
But then I go, okay, and then I'll give you that. And then I go, what's really going to bring the people in? What's really going to bring them in? Cars.
A new awesome attraction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that you can put on a billboard and say, hey, come see this for the next 3 years.
Maybe that will happen. And I hear they're trying to do they're trying to do a trackless ride on dirt. So that will be a first thing if we have that. But you know what?
But what if they did? You just said the one in Disneyland's amazing.
It is,
right. The one at California Adventure.
Yeah, but I had a lot more expectation back then of what things could be. Right now, I don't. I don't feel like they have the. I don't know that they have the vision to create something great. We haven't seen anything great. Moana's splash pad is not great. I don't think Tiana's is great. I think it's good. I think it's fine. It's like they redecorated, and it's okay. It's just not. I don't know. I love it. I love what they do, but again, there's a lot that I doubt. I have a lot of doubts that this will be a great attraction.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, I gotta ask Easton one more thing. Two questions. One, what did you do on the river cruise?
We finally got on it in like the last 2 or 3 trips, and we stood up there on the second level, and we rode it and listened to the story and saw all the things that there was to see.
And it was about as exciting as Hall of Presidents. I get that. I love cars. I love cars. It just doesn't belong there. If they had said Pocahontas, we're going to put in a Pocahontas river ride, anything that would have kept it in the past, I would have said, I'll go with you there.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Is the river in Tom Sawyer's Island technically Frontierland?
Yeah. Why would it not?
It is. So that if you look at they used to give you the pamphlet that had the map on it. They still do that.
I think the riverboat technically is considered Liberty Square.
Liberty Square.
And I said New Orleans Square earlier, I think, and I meant Liberty Square.
No, I know. Yeah.
I did that by mistake, but yeah, Liberty Square, and then.
So is Tom Sawyer Island a Frontierland attraction?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, on this map, it does have to get on the raft to go to Tom Sawyer. It has it as a Frontierland raft that you get on. There's nothing specifically for Tom Sawyer Island. It's its own little thing, but to get there, you get there from Frontierland, so it has it in Frontierland.
It's its own little thing.
Little thing.
It can be Tom Sawyer's Island. It can be Pocahontas' Island. It can be Tiana's Island.
Really.
It can be whoever you want it to be, because you are the master of your island when you're there. It's as big as your imagination wants it to be.
Well, I love that you guys both. I love that Easton got to experience it before it goes away, and B, that we get all of your thoughts on record right here at the Why I Love Disney podcast. That's why people listen, because you get all these opinions and experiences, and it's amazing. And happy birthday to you, David, man. I hope, for your birthday wish, I hope that they run into some problems and they're like, you know what, we're not going to be able to do anything we got to fix this sewage problem first.
They filed an extension because they did not meet some, I don't want to get into the technicals of that, but they have filed an extension because they have to prove something to the environmental arm of the government down there. And so, maybe they'll hear this and they'll say, maybe they'll hear this and they'll say, he's right. It's its own little thing.
Let me say this. I think taking it all out and draining all that water is going to make that part of the park way hotter.
That's a good point. Okay. So what about this, David? Have y'all seen Ernest Goes to Camp?
Oh, way back in the day, yes.
Okay, it's not a Disney movie, but it's Ernest P. Worrell. Jim Varney was the character of Ernest.
Slinky Dog.
The very first movie he did was Ernest Goes to Camp, and he works at this campground. These little kids, and in the end, there's this corporation that wants to bulldoze the camp. Remember? And the kids have to stage this like rebellion and kind of opposition force to save the camp. So I could see a Ernest the Camp style rebellion that saves Tom Sawyer
There you
Island.
go.
I mean, it's the same sort of thing. You have the Native American over there with bows and arrows. You have also the kids all painted. You know, I don't think you're allowed to do that anymore. I bet that movie's probably canceled also. But the point is, remember at the end, he puts his hand right in the gun barrel and goes, "Ee," you know, saying it was over. And they saved the camp. Maybe they're getting the bulldozers out. They're bringing them in, and you guys can go down there with your BB guns and pellet rifles and get up in that fort and slingshots and save
We're
the
gonna
day.
figure out how
Maybe
to
y'all
get
can
those
save it.
guns off of the little outposts and use those and just. I think they should
There you go.
retheme the riverboat to the scene from Spider-Man: Homecoming where it starts to split in half,
There you go. Perfect.
and then they have to put it
I
back
can pull that
together.
off. There's a retheming. There you go. Reimagine it.
Yeah,
David.
Spider-Man Island.
Avengers Island.
That'd be awesome. You could do Craven the Hunter now. You know what I mean?
There you go,
Out in the
there you
woods.
go.
You have to. There's a dude on the loose the whole time, and you have to stay. You have to avoid him, or he'll kill you.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
That gets a. There you go. There's
It
your
wouldn't be
Halloween
a kids'
thing right there,
island
too.
anymore.
No, not at all. Well, guys, it's been fun. Happy birthday, David. To our listeners, check us out on whylovedisney.com. Leave a review, share an episode. Thank you for sticking with us. We always appreciate that. David, Easton, take care.
Yeah.